My chicks dig it. Use the code T-HAND at checkout to unlock 10% savings on all Grub Terra products. Oh no! My thingy froze, I think. Oh, come on, you dumb thing. There we go. All right, guys. Hey, welcome to the Homestead Centric show, a show all about the self-reliance lifestyle. Hey, I got a couple of apologies I need to send out, and I'm going to go ahead and send them out right now. I just yesterday mailed out the 2 1-pound Grub Terra bag, the 1-pound bags of Grub Terra black soldier fly larvae to Peter and Janice. I apologize that took so long, but I also found that I had never mailed out the garden planners, the Clyde's garden planners. I had never mailed them out to the 2 winners, so I mailed them out also yesterday. Please forgive me. I did not mean to be fraudulent. Hey, if you're in here and there's a poll at the top of the chat, tonight we are talking about Homestead, small community, rural town values. All right. There has been an uproar of this about this song that came out months ago, but the video just came out by Jason Aldean called Try That in a Small Town. Okay. And basically the video shows news footage of riots, looting, news footage of the punch game that they play in the cities. And it has sparked some controversy. It has been called racist. It has been called a call to anarchy, a call to vigilante justice, yada, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I have a niece that said, well, yeah, try that in a small town, but they killed this guy. Oh, goodness gracious, land sakes alive. What was his name? Let's see if I can. Oh, I never turned on my. Hold on one second. I will find it. Because somebody just commented on it again. They said, when you think of Try That in a Small Town, remember Matthew Shepard and how that small town treated him. That's enough reason to resent the song and singer. Matthew Shepard. Hey, Jill, how's it going? Matthew Shepard was a young man who happened to be a homosexual. I don't know if that plays into this at all. But he was in a town. What town was it that he was in? I just looked all this up and where did I put it? It's a town of about 30,000, Laramie, Wyoming, with a population of almost 33,000. Now, it was outside the city, so it was probably in the suburbs. Okay. 33,000 people. That's not a small town. Port Leyden in 2021 had 581, under 600 people. Okay. That's a small town. Boonville, New York, under 3,000 people, I think it's got. Those are small towns. All right. Suzanne's back. Hello. So So this case is not like what the song is talking about. Okay. What the song is talking about is the punch game, where punks randomly they run up the sidewalk, find an elderly person. Hey, Peter, welcome. They find an elderly person, usually, or a lone woman, and they run up and punch the person as hard as they can, maybe throw in a kick and run. Number one, that's cowardice. Totally random. It's just to see if you can knock somebody out in one punch, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Stupidity. This song is talking about try to start a riot and destroy the small town. And he even says, please don't, in the song. But what happened to this Matthew Shepard that I was talking about earlier is in Laramie, or around Laramie. Two thugs decided to rob him. They took him out into the country. This, I'm presuming, is at night, to a secluded area, tied him to a fence and beat him, and he died of his evenings. Hey, Vay. He died of his evenings. He died of his injuries. That is not what we're talking about. Now, those good old boys were not good old boys. Number one, they were thugs. They were punks. If you are robbing someone, taking from someone by force what they have worked hard to earn against their will, is not, that is not a good old boy thing to do. Okay. Good old boys do not do that. So tonight we're talking about community values. This has got me going, man, because I relate to this song. I was a youth leader when I was 22-ish, 1994-ish. I was a director of a Youth for Christ youth center in Port Leyden, New York. Like I said, in 2021, it had under 600 people in Port Leyden. And I routinely stepped in to other people's business when it was turning violent. In fact, I was reprimanded by the Youth for Christ board. There was this kid, and later on I found out that he was antagonizing it at school. Okay. But there is a kid that everybody wanted to beat this kid. Everybody. But he worked at the youth center. He helped me out. Kind of played me like a fiddle, but that's besides the point. And there were about 30 kids waiting across the road from the youth center. And there were two young men. They were about 17, 18, something like that, sitting. There was a concrete wall that they were sitting on that dropped down behind them to a garage underneath the youth center. And I went out to talk to them. I said, guys, what's going on? And they're like, we're going to kill George. And I'm like, no, you're not. And they're like, yeah, we're going to beat him. And I said, no, that's not going to happen. And they said, well, one of them mumbled, well, we'll take you too. And like I said, I was reprimanded later for my actions by the Youth for Christ board, who was not there at the time, but I stepped up towards them. They had nowhere to go, because if I would have just pushed, they would have went off the concrete retaining wall and down onto concrete. And I said, that's not going to happen. You need to leave. And they left. Well, they went across the street. no incidents there while I was there. Now, had my reasoning for doing that was not to punk these guys out. Well, it was to punk these guys out, but not for the sake of punking them out. It was because the 30 kids across the road were watching. Had I backed down, I probably would have been assaulted that night. But now, unfortunately, we'll call him George, was using me. He was running his mouth to these boys, not the boys to run your mouth to. These are big boys for their age in school, in high school. And then, oh no, Tracy, I'm not doing anything to encourage this. And it was a sad state of affairs. Now, I don't think these 30 kids were all going to beat George. I think the 30 kids across the road were all going to watch these two gentlemen take turns beating George. It didn't happen. I got in the car. Now, there was a big shoo-doo. Now, remember, this is in 1994. Things were a lot different. Okay. Back then, somebody get in a bar fight, they get up, shake hands, and go back to the respective stools. APD Officer Rodriguez, welcome. Welcome. And if you are a police officer, thank you for your service. And I had to go to the National Guard. I was still in the National Guard. After my active duty, I had to serve 4 years in the National Guard. And my brother and Dave Haldeman and some other people ran the youth center for me that night while I was gone, that weekend while I was gone, that Saturday night, I guess it was. And there was a big hoodoo. They barely got George to the car. People tried to lay hands on Trevor. That didn't go well. Trevor picked the guy up and basically threw him, I guess. But guys, because of my position as a youth leader, I was in these kids' lives, and some people are not going to agree with this, but through the authority of God's word and his righteousness, not mine, I was able to interject myself into some community goings on with some of the kids and into these kids' lives. I just got to wait for that to come up here. They said, Tracy, a couple years ago, I was visiting a neighbor on his front porch. I saw this woman in an electric wheelchair being followed by two men who did not look good. They were looking suspicious. And she's continuing it. And the thing is guys, my neighbors in Port Leyden, they had some kids growing up, and due to various situations within their lives, they routinely were fighting with their kids. I'm talking mom pushes the kid down on the bed to try to restrain him, and the kid kicks her in the chest and almost through a wall. And they would send somebody over to get me, and I would try to help. Okay, let me do this one total. I told my friend I needed, it disappeared. Tracy, a couple years ago, I was visiting a neighbor on his front porch. I saw this woman in an electric wheelchair, being followed by two men who didn't look good. They were looking suspicious. I told my friend I needed to help her. So me and my medium-sized dog walked across the street and walked towards them. I was determined to keep her safe. I walked up to her and asked if she And this is exactly what I'm talking about. You see an elderly lady, you might not know her. She's in an electric wheelchair, and these guys are following her and they're looking shady. It sounds to me, we'll find out in just a second, but it sounds to me like they interceded for this woman just by placing herself in the situation, and asked if she was okay, all while keeping my eyes on the men, my face stern. She said no. She was shook up. I told them to leave her alone. They backed off rather quickly. She said I saved her life. She was about 20 years younger than me. I was over 60 at the time. Yeah. Okay, the people doing this stuff, okay? And we'll get into this a little bit. Don't forget, guys, to hit the poll up top. Would you help someone on the street? I think it is. But most people who are going to who are going to harass someone in a wheelchair, or who are looking for trouble, or to rob, rape, kill, steal, do you harm, are cowards. And when they meet up with, they don't expect resistance. They do not expect resistance. I just got done putting down a 43 in a very similar situation. 32-year-old grandson assaulting his 7-year-old grandma because she took away the internet. Had to hog tie him to get him in the transport. That is so sad, man. That is so sad. It breaks my heart. Now, when you're in a situation, okay, there are several different types of predators. Okay, they prey on the weak, and if you show that you might not be weak, then sometimes they'll back off. Not all the time, okay, because they still have the illusion of control. I heard of a pastor that was in a gas station, and somebody came in to rob the gas station, pointed a gun at the pastor, and said, "Get out and give me all your money." And the pastor looked at him right in the eye and said, "Son, you're threatening me with heaven." Think about that. If you are a Christian, think about that. They're threatening you with heaven. Death, where is thy victory? Grave, where is thy, or grave, where is thy victory? Death, where is your sting? Right now we have, with 6 votes, 83% yes and 17% no. Would you help someone being attacked on the street of your town? Now, this is, guys, please be aware, there is no true right answer for this. Certain situations, I will avoid a conflict. Man and a male and a female in a parking lot of Walmart, and I'm coming out and I am carrying my concealed weapon. He is threatening her. Maybe he hits her. I may not, because I am carrying my everyday carry. Because of that, I may decide to go to my car and call 911 rather than intervene myself, because I do not want to interject a deadly weapon into that situation. Not to mention, you're going to be okay, if you approach and it's the guy getting on the girl, you approach and address him, his attention's going to be on you. Okay, you're bigger, and in his mind he may be more justified in attacking you and working out his anger on your face. And if you start getting the better, now she might turn around because you're attacking her man, and below it all, she loves him. She starts attacking you. You got to be careful, and you definitely don't want to interject a deadly weapon into that. So it depends on the situation. My pistol is for defense of life. An argument does not put a life at risk until it does. But Vay's Place, what you described is a good example of, or J&B, what you described is a good example of how those bullies look for someone not able to defend themselves. My thanks to you. Absolutely. You were, I sincerely believe that you were an angel, that you were acting on God's behalf at that time. But this song, Jason Aldean, try that in a small town. I know a lot of my friends are Canadian. The controversy came not from the song that's been out for months. The controversy came from the video, because the video shows news footage of the BLM riots. Oh, you criticize BLM, you're racist. It was video footage of that, the BLM riots, the looting, all that other stuff. Apparently there's something about the set that they filmed the band parts on. It's in front of a courthouse where 100 years ago there was a lynching. Now, I do not know. I lost Jason Aldean's phone number. Jason, if you're watching, call me. But I don't think he knew what happened on that set 100 years ago, or what happened in the place that set was. Yeah, by large, man, absolutely. She thinks so too. I just sized up the situation. Lucy, my service dog, was my ace in the hole. Yeah. Service dogs are great because people don't know, is this dog trained to some kind of German word or something that's going to tear me up? Dogs can be scary. My pastor does not like dogs other than his own, because something happened to him when he was young, and the unpredictable nature stuck in his head. Guys, I actually think that we are headed in the right direction in this country. Because of some of the court rulings from the Supreme Court. Yeah, but labs can be ferocious if they need to be. They can be very ferocious if they need to be. And especially a support dog that's bonded to you. Yeah. The thing is, okay, and I try, everybody on here, if you don't know already, I'm a Christian. Bible believing. I don't thump it, but I'll read it. But I study Israel. Did you know that at West Point in the military schools, they do not study Israeli war tactics? Do you know why? Because they're not supposed to work. In the shortly after, I don't know if it was a 6 days war, but it was when Israel took the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. Now, if you're Islamic, please take no offense. Okay. But when they took the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, there was a team or a squad of Israeli police or of Israeli soldiers on top of the Temple Mount, and there was like a battalion of I believe they said Jordanians coming up the side of the hill, and they run out of ammunition. They literally get back down in their foxhole that they had created, and they're saying goodbye to each other. They're about to die. And all of a sudden they hear yelling, and they look out of the hole, and the Jordanians are running. Now, nothing against Jordanians. If I saw what they saw, I would run too. Years later, there was a gentleman, one of the gentlemen that was on the hill was at a street cafe in Jerusalem, and he was telling his grandson this story. And somebody said, wait. Somebody behind him said, excuse me, sir, were you there? And he said, yes, I was an Israeli soldier up on the thing. There were 4 of us or 6 of us, and this is what happened. And the guy says, I was one of the Jordanians. And the Jewish guy said, wait a minute. He says, why? I've been wondering all these years, why did you guys run? He said, now Jordanians call him Father Abraham. That Muslim is Father Abraham, and Israel calls him Father Abraham. But he says, we saw Father Abraham up standing behind you, huge, and we ran because he had a sword. So I believe that God goes with you when you do stuff. Now, I am not talking about vigilante justice. Okay. If I interject myself in a situation, it is to be to wait for the proper authorities to come sort things out, to stop property damage, physical damage, not just to join in on the fight. Okay. People talk about lynchings. That's not what we're talking about here. Nobody's getting hung. That's wrong. And if you do that, you should be punished by the law. Having said that, the goal is peace and justice. When a few years ago, during the BLM riots, they weren't protests, but you know, but during the whole BLM movement, when it was in its prime, people burning stuff in the street, all that, we knew that there were out of state instigators coming in to cause trouble, to turn the marches and stuff into the riots, something that they were not intended to be. You should only do what is necessary to keep another safe. No more than that. Absolutely. Absolutely 100%. I believe that most of the people that started marching in these in the riots had good intentions. They were striving for change. They were outraged with the information that they were being fed, which a lot of times was half information, not true information, dare I say misinformation. But these outsiders would come in and they would stir up trouble. They would work them into a frenzy. Then all of a sudden, hey, there's 6,000 people here. There are 3,000 people here. There's 100 people here. You get into what is called a mob mentality. Mob mentality is very dangerous because within that mob, you can lose your sense of individuality. You can take on a feeling of anonymity. I can curb stomp this guy's head because nobody's going to know it was me. There are hundreds or thousands of people here. It's very dangerous. That's why you will not find me making we had a movement to make Lewis County, New York into a Second Amendment safe Second Amendment safety zone. Sanctuary city. Second Amendment sanctuary. Okay, we wanted this ordinance passed to say that the Second Amendment, as read in the Constitution, was the law of Lewis County. We did not organize a march. Why? Well, at the time, all this stuff was going on out west and in the cities that could have been, our movement could have been hijacked, given a bad name. We went to the county legislator boards. We spoke with the sheriff. Now, during that time that our group was organized, for that reason of creating a Second Amendment sanctuary in Lewis County, it was blocking the fan. There was the Lowville High School. Apparently it was student led and all that. Students have a right to voice their opinions. They need students, high school students. Listen to me clearly. You need to learn and exercise your constitutional rights. And I say this knowing that your views might not match up with mine. It's possible that Jason Aldean's record label constructed this whole thing to get his song noticed. They are making money. Oh, yeah, they're definitely making money off it now. However, CMT, I think Country Music Television, is probably being canceled. I think the conservatives are beginning to figure out that, hey, this can work with Bud Light and Target and Bud Light, no matter how they try, just can't dig themselves out of this hole they're in. Welcome back, Vay. But there was a Black Lives Matter rally. Well, what it was a march from, I think, the fairgrounds down to the center of town, and then they ended up in a park back behind Main Street, and they had speakers and all that. And our group, I forget what we were called now, the Upstate Civil Rights Coalition, I guess, that was working for the Second Amendment sanctuary for our county, talked with law enforcement. We got legal advice from legal people, lawyers, and we were there. Now, we were armed and there because we had carry permits. Now, here's the thing. No one knew we were there. Most people, it was so funny because you get this march going down the road and you got like Lewis County is upstate New York, rural America, rural Northern United States. And guys, there were maybe 3 or 4 there. They had about 150 to 300, somewhere in there, people marching, and there were maybe 3 or 4 people of color there walking with them. It was funny. But they were showing their support and exercising their constitutional right. I sat on a bench and watched them walk by. Why were we there? Not to counter protest, they had a constitutional right to be there, constitutionally protected right to be there. What we were there for is if someone began kicking mailboxes or breaking windows or something. We have these cool things today called cell phones. Call the Lewis County Sheriff's Office. We knew exactly where the Lewis County Sheriffs were stationed and the state troopers, New York State Troopers, Governor's Gestapo. They were there, but they were out of sight because they felt that a police presence might antagonize and cause more problems. Okay. But that's our duty, was to call unless life was threatened. Okay. Because remember that mob mentality. Hey, Billy's kicking that guy. Hey, Billy and Ted are kicking that guy. Hey, Billy, Ted, me, Susie, and Donnie are all kicking this guy. Oh my gosh, he's dead. How did that happen? Be careful, people. Even on Facebook, sometimes we see the mob mentality. Okay. Oh, everybody's coming out against this. Guys, by the way, if you type weather 13303 and weather space and your zip code, Nightbot will post your current weather. And right now, let's see how close it is. Nightbot says 76. Oh my gosh, they're dead on. Dead on. It rained all day here. But guys, right now we're at 86% yes. Now, there are various reasons for not stepping in to a situation. 79. Oh, excuse me. 79 in Franklin. 97 in Gravely. Peter, guess who just finally yesterday sent out your black fly soldier larva? I'm sorry it took so long, buddy. I had them out. I had them ready. I just had to get the boxes, and then mailing stuff was... My post office didn't have what it needed to send stuff to Canada. So I sent your stuff from Ava, and then I had to go to Rome and send out the stuff to Canada that I have owed people for a very long time from Rome. Yeah, usually close, but not exact. Oh, the forecast was 102. Woo! Yes, I would definitely take that. Take 7. Take the cooler weather. Yeah, they are on their way. It is all up to God and the United States Postal Service now. I think they'll enjoy them. But guys, we are beginning to lose our values, okay? Even in the small towns. It was happening long before Wendy and I moved out of Port Leyden. It used to be, if there was a kid riding his bike down my road, I could say, hey, Nate. Hey, Scotty. You know, I could say their name. Hey, Chase. Hey, Robert. You know, I knew them by name. Then there started being people walking down the road that I didn't know. Nothing wrong with that. Then when you start getting into 25, 26-year-olds with the scruffy beards and stuff, riding a bicycle on a weekday down the road, not exercising. Okay, I know somebody, well, I ride a bike for exercise. That's not what they were doing. They had to go over town and buy a pack of smokes. Okay, we're like, eee. And Port Leyden is now known as a meth haven. Unfortunately, glad we got out, but I still have family there that I worry about. Because people are moving from the city. Okay. First, we had people moving from blue states. They would say, oh, the taxes are so high in this state, and crime is so high in this state, and all this negative stuff, the government, everything's so bad in this state. So they moved from a blue state to a red state. No, I'm not saying either one's better. But, or maybe they moved from a red state to a blue state. I don't know. Okay. And then they start voting the same way they were voting when they were in the state that they did not like. They start voting for the same policies that made them leave that state. Well, now we have, from state views, we have people moving from the cities to the rural areas. And what are they doing? They are voting. They are carrying their morals, their values, their issues with them to the rural areas. There's nothing wrong with living in a city. I want to say that again. There is nothing wrong with living in a city. However, you have to be aware that there is a cultural difference that is as deep and wide as the Grand Canyon. As deep and wide as the Grand Canyon. We suffer with it here in New York. The nature path I live next to, I have found out, has had 20 deaths between here to the next. Yeah. Drugs and porn. If we could eliminate those, we could improve. Absolutely. Absolutely. However, if you want to, we could end drugs just like that. If you get caught selling drugs, you will be executed after you have gone through due process. If you're found guilty and your appeals, you're found guilty, there's no doubt that you were selling drugs, you are executed. Guess how many people would stop selling drugs? Now, due process is the key. I don't care what country you're in, due process is an inherent right. You have a right to face your accusers. I'm not talking, oh, I think he might be on meth. He might be dealing meth. I'm going to drive by and... No. Due process. If you are caught with child pornography, you are chemically castrated or whatever. Yes, it's draconian. How dare you take their rights? Abso-stinking-lutely, I'm going to take their rights and their ability to harm another child, even though chemical castration probably wouldn't work for a child molester, because the problem is here. That is true. Due process is more for the perps than the victims. And the problem is we have started feeling for the perps. This new bailless stuff. I don't want to get into politics here. I usually do anyway. But this bail reform crap that they've come up with, where bail is an inequity. It's harder for some people to get bail than for other people, so we're going to get rid of bail. Their choices in life led them to a point where they might not have anything to put up for bail. Oh my, it was their choices. They can get that bail money back if they show up for court. Just saying. Well, I honestly believe that there are some judges out there that are really doing their best. The laws have tied their hands. But due process is important, because if you accuse me, I do not believe in red flag laws. If you call the police and say in New York, and you say such and such, okay, we'll say, okay, Tracy is a danger to himself or others, and he has pew-pews. In New York, under the red flag laws, they can come to my house and take my pew-pews. Come here. When you start talking about taking my pew-pews, that's the time I'm probably going to be the most dangerous. Just saying, just a thought. Oh, no. No, you're not going to get me into any trouble. This is important. This is important. And I don't think we've broken any YouTube guidelines. When I monetize this for the replay, because I forgot to monetize it beforehand, I will put down that I talk about firearms, because I'm honest. Go figure. And so what if they don't monetize me for this? I lost 37 cents. But guys, we're losing our old rural small town values. We're losing them. And a lot of it is because we're having big town people or big city people coming in to our small towns, because they don't like the big cities that they created by the way they voted and everything. It's sad. It really is. But when you're in the moment is the time to make the decision. Now, this song by Jason Aldean was not a declaration of vigilantism. Okay? It's saying, I see you sucker punch an old lady on my street. I am going to take you down and hold you down until the cops get there to arrest you. And with the way the laws are, they'll probably arrest me too. But that I'm willing to go through that. When I was working with youth, there was a young man. He was a foster child, and he's grown up into a really nice young man now. And he threatened his foster mother, and she told me about it. And I took him aside and I told him, I said, boy, if you ever lay a hand on her, I will beat you senseless. Well, you can't touch me. Boy, if you ever lay a hand on her, I will beat you senseless. Now, I was invited to a meeting with the social worker. And she says, now, I'm not going to use his name. Now, such and such said, hey, Dana, such and such, the young man said that you were going to, quote, beat him senseless or spank him or whatever. And sir, you're not allowed to do that. You will go to jail. I said, ma'am, if it teaches that child that he cannot lay hands on someone who loves him and is trying to help him, I'll go to jail for that. I love him enough to go. Jesus loved him enough to die for him. I love him enough to go to jail for him. That's simple. And I've never lied to a kid. When I tell a kid, I used to tell him at youth group all the time, hey, knock it off. You do that again, I'll swat you in the head. Guess what? If they did it again, I'd swat them in the head. Now, it was a playful, that even sounds loud, but it was, it didn't hurt them. But I did it because I said I would do it. It was more the point of letting that kid know I'm going to keep my word to you. Before the internet, people would gather at the local church or coffee shop or community center to chat about, yeah. Man, when I was growing up, we knew everybody. I even knew the adults that lived on my street, namely because most of them at one time or another during my tenure, from the age of 7 to, let's say, 16 when I moved away to Florida, most of them had to call my dad and say, Guy, I found Tracy was doing such and such. And my father would say, spank him. If you want to spank him, spank him. And then send him home. And I'll spank him. You know what? Dad kept his word. Pa kept his word. Guess what? I grew up with those horrible things. What is it? A sense of responsibility, self-respect, duty, right and wrong, values of right and wrong. It's amazing how that works. Yeah, I grew up before the internet, man. Back when to have fun, this was my favorite time of year. Well, maybe not so much for me because a lot of times I was a small guy, but every crabapple tree in town became a armory. We had crabapple fights with each other. And yeah, we picked on each other. And yeah, we had bullies. Guess what? I would like to officially thank everyone in my life who ever bullied me. From I can't think of any of their names. Well, from a kid named Billy, who's actually a good friend of mine now, all the way to my drill sergeants. I want to thank everyone who ever bullied me. You know why? Because you taught me strength in adversity. You taught me character in adversity. You made me look to myself and look to God for my worth. You made me strong. We had real friends and saw people in person in real time. Absolutely. Dana Deshay, good point. All the screen time on the developing brain is not good. Definitely changing so much about the chemistry in our behavior. Yes. Yes. Mom used to kick us out of the house. She'll deny it. She used to kick us out of the house because we were under her feet and in her way. And there was always consequences. Bring that one up. And there was always real consequences, either good or bad for our actions. Absolutely. I got to tell you, my father, when you did good, he praised you. When you did bad, he punished you. The sad thing is the small town values coincide a lot. Hey, little house in the big woods. How you doing, Melissa? Small town values coincide a lot with biblical values. You ever hear somebody say, spare the rod, spoil the child? It's biblical. And guess what? It didn't say spare the belt. It didn't say spare the hand. It said spare the rod. They would literally cane kids when they got. Now, okay, I'm not for caning kids, okay? But like with my grandkids, I will never spank my grandchildren. Well, now they're old enough. Well, Colton's young enough. He might have to learn. But I will probably never spank one of my grandchildren, seriously spank them again. But if I did, I probably would not use my hand because I'm a big guy and I don't want to hurt them. I mean, I want to make them the consequences. Most of the time when they're young, the noise of a wooden spoon on a diaper will do wonders. And the fact that Papa's mad at me will do wonders. You don't have to, there's no pain inflicted a lot of times when they're young enough. And remember, a slap on the hand at 5 can save slaps on the wrist at 15. Guys, these are biblical values we're talking. Now, I'm not saying go Old Testament, and if you have a kid that just will not listen to you, take them out behind the tent and stone them. I'm not saying that. That was for Israel. It was for a special time. But boy, I bet you our kids would be a lot better behaved if they thought that was a possibility. Just like the drug dealers would probably stop dealing drugs after they saw several of their other drug dealing friends get the needle in the arm. Yes, I'm for capital punishment. It's biblical for capital crimes or crimes involving damage to a child. But now, what's going to happen? Be fully prepared. If I'm driving down the road in Port Leyden or Boonville, say, or Rome. Rome has got, hey, Google, what is the population of Rome, New York? I don't have my thing turned on.
For that, your phone needs a mobile or Wi-Fi connection first.
See if I can. Oh, come on. Cut down my. Okay, we'll wait for my. Come on. Did it turn on? Yeah, it turned on. Sometime. Okay. Hey, Google, what is the population of Rome, New York? know what.
Oneida County Aging Office. Here you are.
No, Oneida County Office of the no. Hey Google, what is the population of Rome, New York?
In 2021, the population of Rome was 31,974.
Okay, 32,000 people. If I'm driving down Rome and I see this guy beating up another guy, okay, he is just pounding him, or an old lady. He runs up, punches the old lady, and runs. And I get out and I do only what I need to stop the boy, hold the boy until police get there while I dial 911. I do only what I need to do to subdue him for the police officers. Chances are I am going to be arrested myself or sued in some way for laying hands on somebody. But it's the right thing to do, no matter what the consequences are. In our little town, we stick together, but there's still crime. We help each other out if we see someone needs help. But there are some crazy people out there, and you don't know sometimes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, I got to tell you, my boldness in this started with interjecting myself into situations. It started when I came to the realization that God gives me each breath, and that one day God is going to stop giving me breaths in my body, and I have absolutely zero control over when that happens or how that happens. So why worry about it? I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to try to do the right thing whenever and wherever possible. My grandkids are watching. And if they aren't watching, then they'll hear, hey, man, Papa stopped a thief. Hey, man. Now, like I said, before you jump in, count the cost. If I die, I know for a fact I'm going to heaven. Why? Jesus promised me that he will give me his righteousness and that he paid my punishment to go to heaven so that I could have eternal life with God. Okay. I know that. So make sure you know that, or you know, that you're willing to take the consequences of what might come after. Now, there are sometimes, like I told you before, if I'm carrying my pistol, I'll just go to my car and call 911. Unless someone's life is in danger. Okay. And if there is a deadly threat. Why? Because I do not want to bring deadly force into an issue that does not need deadly force. Well, you know, mental health and people that they just think they own the world and destroy things. Yeah. I got to tell you guys, I have post-traumatic stress disorder through the VA. Desert Storm came back and kicked me in the butt. Hard. And I have never been a threat to someone's life since getting out of the military. Have I been angry? Yes. Have I balled up my fist at someone? Yes. Heck, I even got in a fight, in a couple fights afterwards. Stupidity, yes, because Trevor kicked my butt. But If you have a mental health problem, get help. If you're feeling violent, do what other people do. Exercise self-control. It's one of the gifts of the Spirit. If you believe in Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, then you have the Holy Spirit in you, and you have the gift of the Spirit, self-control, temperance. We're watching our country die. The United States of America is dying. And it breaks my heart to see people in the highest levels of our military making a mockery of our military. If you want to raise our enlistment rates numbers, if you want more people to join the military, stop trying to keep them in the military. Train them because they're in the military. My best days when I was in the Army were days that I was training. Oh, I hated road marches. Oh, I hated them, but I loved them. I was good at being a soldier. I was proud that I was a soldier. Stop making a mockery of our military. It's not a place for a social experiment. When Betty Sue Rottencrotch gets out there on the front lines, wets her panties because she can't figure out which stinking outhouse trench to use, runs away from the fight because, oh, I didn't know I was actually going to end up in combat. You'll think, yep, not even going to try to monetize this one. Tracy, I'm so sorry to hear the PTSD. I wish for the best for you, and thank you for your service. It was my honor. I used to say it was a pleasure, and then I thought about it. No, it wasn't really a pleasure. It was an honor to serve. Yes, I do believe that Canada is also on its deathbed. And I care. I am an American. But thanks to my friends, they said, Tracy, you're close enough to the border. You're an honorary Canadian. Melissa, I think the Marines are going to be one of the last bastions of sanity in our military. They are some of the best. The Army's the best, or used to be. I don't know what it is now. I've been out since I got out of the military in 1992. Okay, so I don't know what it's like today. I have nephews, Ty Burgoyes and James Phelps. Shout out, woo-hoo, in the Army. Both of them have seen combat. But I'm very, very proud of them. Yeah. When I was in the Army, or when I was in basic training, I didn't know what a pronoun was. I thought my name was Maggot. I thought my name was Maggot. Hey, Remy, how's it going? Thank you for your service, Dana. Yeah. Guys, we're at 89% yes. Which is what, 19? No, that's 11% no on our poll. with 9 votes, would you help someone being attacked on the street of your town? And you know what? There is no shame for the 11% that said no. Because varying situations. Okay. I would not expect my sisters to jump in and try to stop a mugging. I would feel sorry for the mugger if they did, but I don't expect them to do that. There are people who are not built for that. However, in most small towns, most people are. Where I come from, okay, we've got, wow, that chicken got it. When we've got 12-year-olds riding tractors, driving tractors. I saw it the other day. I'm not going to say where because I don't know. The kid could just barely see over the steering wheel of the tractor. I'm not talking a tractor like my 25 horsepower Branson. I'm talking a tractor that's got the big tires on the front, 2 tires on each side on the back, and a big old hay wagon towing it. This kid could barely see it, and he's driving. And you say, oh, that's sweet. His dad let him drive on his lap. Nope. Dad must have been back in the field. This kid was alone driving that big old tractor with that big old hay wagon. Guys, we need more of that. Haying taught me how to work. I have since tried to forget, but yeah, it depends on how, when we talk about this, 2 young bucks that look pretty much equally matched. If I see them in a fight on the street, I'm probably not going to interject. I might call 911 to get the police aware because I don't know what's going on. And I'm getting older, but yeah, it doesn't have to be physical help. Doesn't always mean it has to be physical help. Making a phone call or screaming for help is also helping out in a situation. They used to say, and I saw this, I've seen this so many times. Ladies, if you're in trouble, if someone is trying to molest, and I mean that in assault, if someone is trying to assault you or mug you or rape you or whatever, someone is trying to harm you on the street and you need to get people's attention. Do not scream rape. Scream fire. That always struck me as idiotic. Why? Because if there is a person in trouble, I'm more likely to respond rather than fire. Why do we put property over people? Some people would say, Tracy, right there, you just did it. Why? You put property over people. You want to beat people who are looting stores in your town. No, I want to subdue them till the police arrive and can take them away, ma'am. I don't want to beat anyone. I don't want to use violence. I'm not good at it anymore. But, well, isn't that putting property over people? Well, yes. Yes, it is. Because looters are the lowest form of people. Looters, when you break into a store or you're stealing something, you make your value to me zip. Now we're talking about self-defense, defense of others, and all that. not going to kill somebody over a TV or over property. That would be stupid. But boy, oh boy, I'll beat you down and hold you down till the cops get there. I'll do what I have to do to subdue you. Dana says, I learned to drive a Ford 8N when I was 8 or yeah. Look at that. Child labor. We'll see you later, JMB. Child labor didn't hurt you at all, Dana. Gave you this thing called pride and self-esteem. It's amazing when you build a child's self-respect when they do something right. When you build a child's self-respect, self-esteem comes with that. And then they can handle that self-esteem. They don't feel entitled. But when you just teach a child self-esteem, they think the world owes them something. I have a t-shirt, by the way, that says, what is it? Homesteading, because life owes you nothing. It's in my merch shop. If you were not in your element and in a bigger town, would it be the same? That's a good question. Out of my element is in the concrete jungle. I do not like the cities. I go to Rome, do what I have to do, and get out. And that's only a city of 31,000 people, 32,000 people. Okay, it's a small city. Utica is a little bigger. If I were in New York City in Times Square, where 6 million people can walk by you at any given time, and I saw someone, a young person, punch an older person in the face, I would intervene. Number one, New York City, even though it's against the Constitution, is ruled by the Supreme Court. I would not be carrying my pistol because I'm not, under my knowledge so far, they have not revoked that law that in New York City, my pistol permit, New York City might as well be a federal building. I can't carry, my pistol permit is no good in New York City, to my knowledge. Even at this time, even though the Supreme Court has overruled it. But yes, I would intervene because I'm me. And think about it. The whole storyline of Crocodile Dundee, that's not a knife. I can't do Australian. This is a knife. The whole storyline was you take this person out of the outback. His mind is working on right and wrong. I'm going to do what's right. I'm going to stop what is wrong, which is what we're all supposed to be thinking. So yes, I would, if I were out of my element, I might be more prone, depending on what's going on, to call the police. I would have to be in the moment, to be perfectly honest with you. There's a lot of things. If there's more than one perpetrator, that would definitely weigh on it, because they get that mob mentality. And I ain't as good as I once was. I'm only good once as I ever was. Wait, I ain't as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was. Yeah, I'm not even as good once as I ever was when we're talking fighting. I lose my wind so fast. Do you teach your child self-defense, what to do? Absolutely. Absolutely. And my daughter has a concealed carry permit. I don't know if she does carry, but I do know that she has her permit. But yes, teach your children self-defense. There's a movie, American Sniper, talking about Chris Kyle, great American. And his father told him there are three types of people. There are sheep and there are wolves. Don't be a sheep. Definitely don't be a wolf. Be the third type. Be a sheepdog. Protect the sheep. Teach a child to fish, hunt, trap, and farm, and you'll never have to worry about them robbing little old ladies. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Guys, I got more junk in this little 32 by 32 cabin than I'll ever need. And thanks to Amazon, I probably got more coming. But if we teach our children how to take care of themselves and what's important, the biggest privilege, one of the biggest privileges we have in life, whether you believe in God or not, is to allow good to work through you. By the way, God is good. Good is God. But allow God to work through you to be kind to others. Teach your children that. I always ask people, what's your problem with teaching children about God? Don't you want them to be respectful, kind, courteous, hardworking? What parts of Christianity are bad? And I'm talking biblical Christianity, not some of the sects of Christianity that we have today. Dave, welcome, Dave. I missed you. Hi, I work 1 mile from Detroit. We always walk in groups from our parking compound to work. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Be smart. Be smart. Getting old. Yes, it does. Because my mind is still 17. And my body, just isn't there. My body is 52 and my mind is 17. And I have to keep reminding my mind that my body is 52. I also teach my kids to help where they can and when you can. I was watching, this is kind of funny. I was watching Yellowstone the other night. I binged for a couple weeks because I forget what happened last season. So I start on season 1, episode 1, and go all the way through and watch all of them that I can. And they were out. They had a big get together and they were out wrangling cows and they were going to brand the calves and stuff like that. And the whole community came together to help. And a girl came and said, she says, I'd like to go hiking. Where's a good place? I was thinking about going hiking. Where's a good place on the ranch? She says, boy, I can. And the other lady who is Native American says, well, you could tell you're not from around here. And she says, why? She says, well, because if you were from around here, you wouldn't have asked about where to go hiking. You would have asked what you could do to help. because she was peeling potatoes. To get ready. My kids go a mile down the road in no less than 2. Anything can, yeah. It's very important to be aware. Today, I was watching an American Homestead, and Zach was talking today about the movie Sound of Freedom. And he says, I don't need to watch the movie The Sound of Freedom. I know kids are being abducted. I know how horrible it is. He says, and I know that we need to fight back and teach our kids to avoid situations where they can be abducted and all that. He says, I don't need a movie to tell me. And that's true. The sad thing is why is there so much flack against that movie? Why do people that seem to be in power not want you to be aware that we have a sex trafficking and child trafficking problem on this continent? I don't understand the reasoning. I mean, I can say, okay, I'm not interested in watching a movie. I already know about it. But to say, oh, I wouldn't watch this movie, it's a farce, yada, yada, yada. Baloney. Kids are being used as mules to smuggle them across our southern borders. Being bought and sold. We have more slavery in this world today than ever existed before. People being bought and sold. All men are created equal and given by their Creator certain unalienable rights. Among these, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men. Why do we have governments? Not to keep you safe, to keep you free, so you can keep yourself safe. Stupid should hurt. At my home in my small town, I can pee in my home. I can pee in my backyard, my front yard, my side yards. It's kind of hard in the winter because things kind of disappear in the cold. But yeah, absolutely. There's nothing like that sense of privacy. Oh yeah. In New York, there are 2 times when there is not imminent danger to life that you can pull and use a firearm. And that is 1, in a kidnapping. If there's someone being kidnapped, you can shoot the kidnapper. Yeah, I almost said something I shouldn't. You can shoot the kidnapper. And the second one is arson. If someone is in the act of committing arson, don't shoot them after. Don't shoot them before. I do not go to the U.S. anymore. I feel safer in Canada. Okay. Dave, I want to analyze that for a second. Why do you feel safer in Canada? Is it the culture? Now, I believe you just said a few minutes ago you live near Detroit, okay? The fat man has no business in a city like Detroit. I would be slain. Let's see here. Yeah, I work 1 mile from Detroit. Yeah. I don't blame you. I would not go to Detroit. But my friend, you are welcome to come visit me in rural America. I feel safe no matter where I go. Number one, because like I talked about earlier, my mindset of absent from the body, present with the Lord. If you kill me, you just end my suffering, basically. I will be with the Lord. But some of it's because I know how to defend myself. Some of it's because I am a larger white male. Okay. The chances of somebody saying, hey, let's run up and punch that guy in the face are very slim because I'm big. And I look like I've been punched before. This nose, I'll show you guys this. This nose has been broken a few times. Mostly because of stupidity. But I wish we had something similar to your Second Amendment here in Canada. I can't even legally take a pistol outside my home anymore with these laws. Yes. Yes. And I feel for my brothers and sisters in Canada. My friends in Canada, I feel for you guys. You are at the mercy of the whim of the ruling class. But I watched a video the other day where a man kind of explained, he says, listen, here in Canada, we have always had the group mentality of we'll go along to get along. 240 years ago, I believe it was, the United States wrote the Declaration of Independence and sent it to the king. It was, I believe, I want to say in the 1980s when Canada separated itself from its monarchy across the seas. Nothing wrong. That's what you guys as a group ended up doing. Because the mentality was, we'll take it. We'll take it on the chin. We'll take it on the chin. And there's nothing wrong. That is a legitimate choice. Yeah, you are. And one day, when the government is fully secure in their dominance, because they're not giving up theirs, they will start more and more and more arcane dealings with you guys, with its citizens. Self-defense, our government in New York does not want you to defend yourself. Pepper spray is outlawed here. Tasers are outlawed here. Yep, can't own a taser. You might hurt the bad guy. But that's okay because they can't outlaw these. Smith and Wesson. Oh, I'm out of breath just doing that. what other forms of weapons are your choices? Well, in England, merry old England, they have begun to restrict the size of pocket knives that can be carried, because when they got rid of the guns, people were being held up because nobody's got a gun. So the biggest tool in the shed was a knife. The most dangerous was a knife. So now they have to start regulating knives. Pretty soon, if they haven't already, they're going to have to start regulating crowbars and tire irons. Why? Because man is going to find a way to hurt other men. And if you make other men defenseless, bad men will prevail. That's a huge problem here. The go along and get along crowd are not helping. No. And you know, unfortunately, everyone suffers, but they were the loudest at the polls. I have friends who vote Democrat, and that's fine. They are Democrats. I'm a conservative, if nobody's guessed. I am a conservative. I have friends that are Democrats, and they are Democrats because they want and they believe in universal health care, free health care for everyone. So instead of saying, let's make policies that allow you to keep your money and pay for insurance, we're going to give the money to the government and let them control what insurance you can get. That doesn't make sense to me. My problem is, and you guys are welcome to disagree with me on any of my things. Please don't quit the channel because I don't. But I am pro-life, pro-gun, pro-freedom. I'm pretty close to a libertarian. The libertarians, the biggest thing about libertarians that I don't like would be their isolationist policies. And I believe that in God's promise that any nation that blesses Israel will be blessed and that curses Israel will be cursed. Therefore, I don't want to stop helping Israel. That's just the way I am. But to get free, to advocate, not advocate, to give up, to give in on my stances on right to life, the Second Amendment, small government, in order to get free health care is not worth it to me. To him, it is. Priorities, and his are different than mine, and that's okay. Personally, I want the government to keep me free, protect my freedoms, government, so that I can keep myself safe and healthy. But now, to be honest, there are conservative value or conservative stances on things that I don't like. Name one. The Republicans are just as bad as the Democrats. The conservatives are just as bad as the Republican Party in the United States, which is the conservative party, is just as bad as the Democratic Party in a lot of ways. And basically, both parties have gone so far to the left that JFK would have been a Republican today. I watched the movie The Irishman. That was some freaky stuff. lot of swearing in it. My neighbors made my boys bully bats, and they have at least 7 pocket knives. Absolutely. I have been carrying a knife in my pocket since I was 12 years old. Every day? Every day. You mean during the summer? Nope, all year round. You carried a knife in school? Yes, I did. I carried a knife in school. Guess what? No one ever knew. Why? Because it stayed in my pocket. And I got in a lot of fights in school. I was bullied and I was an idiot. I got in a lot of fights in school. Fist fights. Knuckles. Pugilism. But my knife never came out. Why? Because that's not what my knife was for. My knife was a tool. It wasn't for hurting somebody because they said something about my girlfriend. You used to be able to walk through the South Louis junior senior high school parking lot and see shotguns and rifles in the back window of the car, of the trucks, because it was hunting season. Oh my gosh, you could bring them in for show and tell. No one ever worried about it. Why? Because the first time I ever went shooting with my father, when I was 7 years old, my mom got married to a wonderful man, my stepfather, Guy Farr, and he took me out there was like a place where somebody had dumped some couches and refrigerators and stuff way out behind our house in the woods. And he took and filled a milk jug with water and he set it up there and took the shotgun and he said, shoot it. And I shot that milk jug full of water and it exploded. He said, Tracy, that's about the same consistency as a man's head. This tool, this firearm, will hurt someone. Use it wisely. Don't point it. The gun safety, paramount. There was a gun in every corner of the house during hunting season. When we got home from hunting, it was my job to go through and clean all the guns. Oil them down so they didn't rust. Run a rod through the barrel if they were fired. Never once thought of aiming it at a person and pulling the trigger until I was in my mid-teens, and that's why I joined the Army, because I was a sick little puppy and I wanted to know what it felt like to kill someone. And when I went to war and found out, I don't like it. Even though it was justified for war, but now we don't have respect for things the way we used to. We don't have respect for our elderly, so our kids run around the city streets punching them. We don't have respect for our police, so we scream and spit in their faces because they're trying to keep us from hurting ourselves and others and damaging property. We don't have respect for ourselves, so we loot and steal. It's sad to watch the decline of a civilization. I was trained on the Lee Enfield by my uncles as a kid. They went to war so I could be a farmer. Absolutely. And thank you for their service. The families served too. During Desert Storm, my mom she sat in front of the Nintendo, but the TV was on all the time looking for me. I told her, I said, Mom, they don't allow TV cameras up where I am. February 17th, we crossed the berm and went on a counter reconnaissance mission and had the first combat in night, 17 kilometers into Iraq. And we realized that we were the only ones up there and came back. We were on a counter reconnaissance mission. We were just stopping the enemy from advancing, letting them know we were there. And then we came back. Love one another. If we could just love one another, respect one another, respect ourselves, then we wouldn't have to worry about trying that in a small town. The days of being ashamed for committing atrocities are over. And it breaks my heart. We will march because of an injustice. And during that march, we will destroy someone's livelihood over and over and over. We will put businesses out of business so we can have a 60-inch TV on our wall. If you're hungry, we've got ways of getting food. Good grief, if you're hungry, get hold of me. I will find out how to get you food or how to get you to some food. All that people have to do is to be good human beings. We are all humans, no matter the color of our skin. Just be good to one another. Amen and amen. I don't care what color your skin is. I don't care who you sleep with at night. Don't throw it in my face. Don't try to force me to approve of it. I judge each person by what I see of them. Was the handshake firm? Okay, this guy's got a nice firm handshake. He's got self-respect, self-esteem. He's there. He's looking me in the eyes. Oh, that guy's handshake was a little bit weak. I wonder if he's got arthritis or okay, his handshake was a little weak. Maybe, I judge stuff like that, believe it or not. Life is too short to be a douche. That should be a shirt. Life is too short to be a douche. And if my mom is watching, yes, I said douche instead of dork, because a dork is a whale male member. We were talking about that the other day, me and my mom, about different words we say and how when I say, oh, bugger, it's actually just as bad as saying oh crap. Anyway, guys, if you're going to share anything with anyone, share love, peace, joy, patience. I wish we weren't where we are in society today. But we're there. God is working out his end time agenda. It's all happening just like he said. Digital currencies. The dollar has got to go, and it's on its way out. The American dollar, the basis for all currency in the world, the BRICS nations are starting a gold-backed currency. It's actually going to be worth gold. Why is gold worth money? Or why does gold have value? Because it's so hard to get out of the ground. Why does paper money have no value? Because there's no gold behind it and it's easy to print. And the dollar's going down soon. We're witnessing, oh man, the end of civilization. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Okay, biblical timeline is the very next thing to happen will be the rapture. All the prophecies of the Bible leading up to the rapture have happened. Yeah, no gold in Fort Knox. No, there's not. Why do we need gold in Fort Knox? We can just print money. Why do we want to just print money? Well, we don't, but the government does because it's easier to control. Why do we want to go to a digital currency? Because it's just like that wire that comes from the power pole to your house. What? You have too many people on Thanksgiving? And we told you could have 5 people at Thanksgiving and you have 10 at Thanksgiving? We're going to shut off your electricity. Oh, Tracy, that'll never happen. Already has. Thanksgiving 2020 in LA, mayor said it. We will shut off your utilities. Think that smart thermostat was a good idea? Bluetooth thermostat was a good idea, do you? Power companies got your number. They can shut off. They can control your heat. Oh, that guy chose to buy food for his family rather than pay the electric bill. We're going to turn him down to 50. Oh, that guy made a post on Facebook that was against the big power companies. We're going to turn his power off. Don't think it can happen? Doesn't matter anyway, because with the infrastructure the way it is, sorry, cat just came in. Oh, is everybody all right, Dave? You had a tornado last night. I ran off grid for the night. Yeah. I hope everybody's all right. Yeah. It's all about control. Look at in China. Is it China or Japan? Well, that doesn't help. In China or Japan, one of those two, your everything is tied into your credit score. If you have a low credit score, you can't even get on a subway or a train. You can't travel. If you do something the government doesn't like, they can lower your credit score. You're speaking truth, Tracy. If the rest of the world ever wakes up, we may be able to stop the progress. I don't think we'll stop the progress. I think we had a 4-year reprieve. I did not realize until then how much it affected the rest of the globe. The policies of the United States affect every other country in the world. By the way, pray for Joe Biden. He's going downhill fast. And to Jill Biden, you're a cruel, cruel person for allowing them to do this to your husband and continue to do it to your husband. But I don't think we can stop it. You see, all ready for the grid down. 105 for Toledo. Oh, wow. That's hot. You know, I was thinking, I do not believe in human-caused catastrophic climate change. The levels of greenhouse gases were way, way higher before there were humans here. But I don't trust the dating, so... But I don't believe in human-caused catastrophic climate change. I do believe that many of the things that are supposed to happen, the climate could do a lot of them biblically. But so the next thing that on the biblical timeline is the rapture. The Holy Spirit, which would include Christians because he indwells us, will take Christians out of the earth. I believe that is going to leave a vacuum that is going and cause many catastrophes. Figure if you got a plane and the pilot and co-pilot are both Christians and he disappears, or if you're Christians driving down the road, you know, and they disappear, boom, big crashes. But that is going to cause a vacuum that will allow the Antichrist to rise to power. Digital currencies, hyperinflation, all these wars and all this stuff, it's all setting up for that. I remember there is a movie called Years of the Beast. I just watched it the other day. I believe it's on Prime or maybe Freevee. I'm not sure which. But in the beginning, the guy's in the store and this lady's like, and the lady's like, the lady behind the counter is like, that'll be $189.72. And the lady's like, well, the eggs weren't that much. And she's like, well, the prices are subject to change, yada, yada, yada. The lady pushes over a thing and picks up 2 paper bags of groceries. And I'm like, how is that ever going to happen? I know the Bible says things are going to be rough. How is that ever going to happen? And now eggs were just, what were they? $5-10 between $5 and $10 American for certain eggs, but it's got to happen. Everybody says, well, where is God? Why doesn't he do anything about all this injustice in the world? He's going to. He's been merciful until now. Now things are going to start working out so that let every man be a liar and God be true. Things are going to be happening just the way the Bible says. I'm watching the Bible happen in the news every day. I know. Stay away from religion. I'm not preaching religion. I'm preaching truth. Yeah, climate change is caused by politicians. Well, you know what? They're saying this climate change is bad. Mr. Scientist, here's $1 million to go study climate change. Buy all the equipment you need and all that stuff. Here's $1 million, go study climate change. A year later, comes back with a report. What's that report going to say? It's going to say, I spent the $1 million on all the equipment to do the study and a new house and all this other stuff for me. I need more money to study more. Requires more study. Inconclusive. Oh, climate change is horrible. We've got to study. Now I want to study ways to stop it. Give me more money. Oh my gosh. Absolutely. That's why people are flooding to being self-sufficient. People are flooding to the rural countryside. Unfortunately, a lot of them are bringing their city values, thoughts, ways, and stuff like that along with them. And it's damaging us, challenging our values. But yeah, being self-sufficient, man. We were building when we were building the house in 2017, I believe I just posted in the Homesteaders Facebook page. If you subscribe to this channel, then I will send you an invitation to join the members only Homesteaders Facebook page. I just posted back in 2017 pictures that Wendy took of Trevor and I building the house up on the roof. And pretty cool, hey, you look, I used to do stuff. But back then there was someone who said Jesus is going to come back probably the Feast of Trumpets, which is September, by our calendar, usually around September. And, so the rapture will probably happen before that. And it could happen. He had some math. And I don't adhere to that stuff. I don't. But I'm like, I watch it with interest because I'm always ready to go if I need to go. If God calls me, I'm gone. But and I was talking, Trevor and I were talking as we were working on the house, and he says, so why are you building this house if you think Jesus is going to come back in September? I said, Trevor, I know from the start that I might be building this for somebody else. For somebody during the tribulation. There's a bunch of stuff they'll find here. They will find self-defense mechanisms. Pew, 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 pew. They will find food for the self-defense mechanisms. Pew, 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 pew. They will find food that has long-term storage. They will find power unless something happens to my system. And they will find Bibles. Oh my Lord, I used to collect Bibles. I have a bunch of Bibles. And so even though I might not be here, I'm preparing for tomorrow. Number one, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. You know, it's amazing the confidence that just truly placing my trust in the finished work of Jesus and what in his payment for my sin on the cross and him placing my trust in him takes all the burden off me. If I died right now, I'm good with that because I'll be in a better place. If I live to be 105, I don't know if I'm good with that, but I'll be all right because that, I feel like a minority in my small town. People from Toronto are moving here and it's driving up land price. Yes. When Wendy and I decided to go off grid, or actually we decided to do a homestead and we were talking about being off grid, there was a place, and dude, as the crow flies, it was 2 miles from my house through the woods. And it was on a road called Penny Settlement Road. And, which is, oh my gosh, I shot so many deer in the clear cut that was there years ago. It's not a clear cut anymore. It's grown up. It's a nice woodlot now, but, we looked at a chunk of land, 5 acres. They wanted $59,000 for 5 acres. So I called up. Well, I didn't know that at the time. And I called up the realtor and I said, yeah, how much do they want for this 5 acres? And she's like, oh, $59,500. And I'm like, let me guess. They're either from New York or New Jersey. And she's like, yep, they were from New Jersey. What it was we were having people that had the foresight to say, hey, people are about to start flooding away from the cities. I'm going to buy a big chunk of land, split it up into little chunks of 5 acres lots, and sell it to city folks because people wanted out of the cities. $59,000 for 5 acres. That's $11,000. That's almost $12,000 an acre. I paid $1,100. But people would pay it because they were from the city. They're playing similar games up this way also. Yeah. Yeah. It raises prices. It raises taxes. And here's the thing. People, oh, I blacked out. These people vote. And there is a cultural difference between the cities and the countryside. If you live in New York City, you can probably call the cops, and if you're on the island of Manhattan, you could probably have a cop there in under 2 minutes. I'm looking at half an hour to 45 minutes before the cops get to me. Don't get any ideas. I am my own police force on my little 20 acres. Well, not really good for us who own property, because the taxes, when property values skyrocket, the taxes skyrocket. That's the problem. One of the things they were fighting on Yellowstone, I'm going back to a fictional TV program, but is because if there is a hotel built in the development of the land, then the Yellowstone ranch taxes would go up to a point where they would not be able to afford to pay it. And it chokes the locals right out. And that can happen. Cost of living rises because the value of a good or service is equal to what someone is willing to pay for that good or service. If you get 3 people willing to pay $20 for a 2-pound watermelon, they're going to charge you $20 for a 2-pound watermelon. Why wouldn't they? People are willing to pay it. But that's how you get value on something, is by what someone is willing to pay for it. My stepfather called me up one day. He says, Tracy, we had some of my neighbors, the Nagy boys, they were young kids, and my father would pay them to come help us with wood and to do different chores around the house, especially once Trevor and I grew up, moved out. And so when I moved back to Port Leyden, I would pay them to do stuff for me. And he called me up one day. He said, Tracy, are you giving them $20 to stack wood for a couple hours? I said, well, yeah, Dad, it's about $7 an hour, to stack a couple cord of wood. He says, Tracy, I can't afford that. You can't pay them that much. Because now their perception was, oh, well, stacking X amount of wood is worth X amount of dollars to Tracy, so that's what it's worth. So now they expected Pa to be able to do that, and he couldn't do it. 1990, $2 a day taxes. 2023, $10 a day taxes. Yeah. And the problem is that $10 is only has the buying power of that $2. Remember penny candy, 10-cent candy, 5-cent gumballs? They gone. You see gumball machines now with credit card slots. No, I'm just joking. I've never seen one of them, but I wouldn't doubt it. The thought of soda machines having credit card slots and dollar bill slots, why would you ever need that if it's only 75 cents? Well, it's not 75 cents anymore. It's $1.50 or more. Let me see. Would you help someone being attacked on the street of your town? 91% said yes. 9% said no. With 11 votes. So that's basically 10-1. And that's good to know. In the homesteading community, which is mostly the people who are interested in my channel, we still have that good community values. And that's a wonderful thing. Guys, I am going to go ahead and end this. I've been on for over 2 hours. Thank you guys for stopping by and talking with me tonight on the Homestead Centric show. You guys rock. Don't forget to hit that like button, that subscribe button, that little notification bell so that you get notified every time I come out with new content. If you have chickens, there's a link to Grubterra down in the bottom. And if you use that link and type use the code T-HAND at checkout, you will get 10% off your purchase. Yes, everyone have a safe weekend. Remy from Rem's Family Farm will be live tomorrow evening, I believe, unless something happens. 45 cents a gallon for gas when I started driving. Wow. There was an old company store in Port Leyden, and when they went out of business, they left a sign up for years. We were paying $5 a gallon during the Obama administration, but you drive by that sign and it would say 99 cents a gallon. I remember when my dad would put $5 worth of gas in the car to last the week. But all right, y'all have a wonderful weekend. God bless you, and stay safe out there. And keep these small town values. Love one another. Do good to one another. Do good to those who persecute you. And it's not from me. That's from Jesus, and he loves you more than I do, even though I do love you guys. All right. Y'all have a great day, and God